Okay, I'm going to hand you over now to Steve, and he's got a young lady on the line that he's going to chat to, and I'm going to take a breather.
You're going to have a rest?
I'm going to have a rest, yeah.
Yes.
I'll try not to snore.
You mean I've got to talk?
Yeah, go for it. Right. Enjoy.
Right. I've got a young lady. Now, everybody who's younger than me is young. So I've got a young lady on the phone with me who's been on my show before when I've been on a Friday. And also, did we do a Friday or a Wednesday? I can't remember. Last time.
No idea.
No, me neither. I've slept since then. But you're going to be a regular on my show. You're going to be a regular on my show from on the first Wednesday of each month, starting in November, aren't you?
Yes, very excited.
Yes. Great. Now, hold on.
Autism excitement there, by the way.
Before I mess up, right, and you threaten to hit me again, would you like to tell the listeners? Would you like to tell the listeners?
No, I threaten violence.
Yes, you do. You cause me names.
Oh, not where it can be recorded anyway.
So would you like to introduce yourself, please, so I don't get in trouble?
Okay. Well, I'm Kate, and I am from We.Are.Alien, a musical entity, shall we say.
Yes. No, I'm talking...
Everything creative.
Yeah, a very talented young lady, even though I may say so myself. And... we get on very well because we're both I'm an ex-drummer and you're still a drummer. But you play other instruments, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yes.
So at the moment, so I play like acoustic guitar, electric guitar, bass, I sing, and obviously bebox, so that's backing vocals. And then I play the cajon and I play the baran, the Irish instrument. And I also do percussion. I've played in the band, they're called the Rainford Silver Band, and we played in the championships, and that was pretty incredible. And then I'm actually trained, after all of that, I play a bit of piano as well, but I'm actually trained as a session drummer originally.
Oh, just chuck it in that you play a bit of piano. I'll just play a bit of... now, the other thing...
self-taught, so it's just the basic, what's needed.
Now, the other thing is what you've done. And I'll go on to the main reason why we're chatting in a minute. You've played in the Cavern Club.
I know. I feel really we did shots in the back room. It was amazing. I was told when I went there, I didn't realise there's a rule. Apparently the rule is that you can only play Beatles songs on the Beatles stage. However, I'm not a massive Beatles fan.
What?
And I didn't know this. I know. You'd think I would be, but...
I'm going to have to educate you.
Definitely. But anyway, one of my favourite songs that is a Beatles song is Let It Be. And luckily, I'd had a little run-through on the piano. And the guy literally said to me, if you don't get booed off, I'll let you play one of your own songs. And it was absolutely packed. We didn't get booed off, let's just say that. So
I know, I saw the... I've seen the photos. Now...
have you seen the videos? The videos are online.
No, I haven't seen it. But now, the reason we're phoning today, it is... it's Mental Health Day. And we're doing this 24-hour... Or Mike's doing this 24-hour Phoenix Rock Show extravaganza. For mental health, and also for, hold on, I always get the name wrong, so I'm going to read it. Livewire Youth Project. I knew I should have had a sign there as well. I got me back to the sign, sorry. Now, Mental Health Day. You are extremely talented, as we've discussed, but you've had problems. Now, would you explain to the listeners your problems growing up and how you've dealt with, you're dealt and still dealing with mental health problems?
Yeah, so basically I, at the moment, have been, it turns out I've got autism, which we didn't know about really back in the day. I also have ADHD and ADD. You can have one or the other or both. And I'm really super lucky, which is why I have to have loads of reminders when I'm talking and stuff, which is why you and I get on so well, because I have to interject. I can't retain a thought and stuff. And I also suffer with some other disorders, and I've been hospitalised quite a lot. But I think the most important thing really for me is to get the understanding of the mental health condition from, for example, my own experiences. So up until the age of 21, not a single person knew there was anything I was struggling with. I think with any parents at teenage age, they just thought I was going through a difficult transition. And it turns out, obviously, it was very difficult because I obviously had these disorders, and I just, they weren't not catered for, but like, so the thing is, a lot of people with mental health, there's so much, what's the word, not untruth, but myths and things, which actually in themselves are really destructive, because people that don't know start to believe the myths, and unfortunately that can actually like seep into the education system, where it comes with like psychology and everything like that. And so for me, one of the biggest important things is, firstly, I've been ill since pretty much my first memories, and my first attempt was when I was 6 years old. And I don't know right now, I probably won't go into it, because obviously we might do something, I'll get like more information and more, dates correct and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was like my first actual attempt to end my life. That's not the first time I got sad. And I don't mean sad in the, maybe everything's going wrong. This is like every single person in your entire family is dead. The world is ash and dust, and you are absolutely alone, like completely frozen. And it's just the worst feeling. And for someone of 6, 5, 4, I still have memories from when I was around, like very early on. And I think a lot of people don't think children can have depression and things like that. And I think recently we're doing a lot better with that. But unfortunately, although now there's so much support out there for children with mental health, there's so very little in comparison. And it's more the quality of the support given. But for adults with mental health, people that are over 25, because a lot of support groups, a lot of things, like I have an autism dog, but to have gone down the sort of mainstream route, to be honest, they only do autism dogs for children and that are nonverbal all the time. And I have autism level 2, so I can be nonverbal. I can struggle to even stand up. I will, it sounds ridiculous, because in some things that I've done, I've been quite able, but because I grew up and I learned to mimic so that I fit more into the world, I used negative behaviours like self-harm to cope with that. And it's sad, because all the things that I was yelled at for when I was younger, it's part of how my brain works. So, for example, I used to rock, or I used to tap, or I have a speech thing. So, so it's really difficult when you're getting yelled at that when you're young and you're trying to learn who you are, and yet you're constantly told you're doing the wrong thing, or you're not good, or you're. So it's been quite a journey to get here. And I also suffer with an eating disorder, which I actually still do suffer with. And at my lowest, I was 4 stone 10. And I was told basically, like most people would have been dead, but about a heart attack. And the sad thing is I asked my team for help. I have letters I'd gone through today, and I thought we had a bit longer to talk today. So I actually had done quite a bit of research and stuff, and it shows like I was asking for help with my eating disorder in about like 2013, and actually I literally have one of the letters that my then care coordinator wrote, because they would not help me to look for an assessment for eating disorder and or ADHD assessment after another practitioner had noticed, and my team just seemed to want to do everything but support me. I wasn't asking for a diagnosis, I was asking for an assessment. And I was asking because the practitioner had noticed, who'd worked with me for a significant period of time, we're talking a year and a half. And that was mainly thanks to her, to be honest, because she could see, I don't know, but it was pretty, it wasn't great. And if I try and keep my concentration of thought, the letter, in the end, when I asked for help with my eating disorder, they told me, you don't have an eating disorder, you have disordered eating. They said it's part of one of your other conditions. And I said, I'm really, really struggling. This is getting out of hand. I'm losing quite a lot of weight, and I can't control it. A lot of it's your psyche. Your belief systems can get like a bit messed up and stuff. And so in the end, it took about 3 years or something. I think I went into hospital in 2016, and this is what my team wrote to me. She's like, I'm reading this as I go, so I'll have to obviously cut some information out. So it's, it says that. Okay, so. Do you want to play a song while I look, and then I'll have it perfectly ready for the next?
Well, what? Yeah. Have you got one of our songs ready?
I've got them lined up, so I don't know which one.
Thank you. What song should we have, Kate?
Oh, you choose. I don't want to mess you guys up.
No, one of yours. One of yours.
One of mine. Let's go with Broken Shell. Well, Chasing Crazy, actually. That's
yeah.
good.
Chasing Crazy.
Yeah.
That one didn't work. That's true.
The magic is happening.
Well, I think Vanilla Cool might work.
Yeah, that should do.
We might have to go with it. No, that didn't work. Try that one.
Yeah, but I'll find the bit once it comes on, and then I'll...
Vanilla Cool.
We got Vanilla Cool, the one that you picked.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's my Stitch Me Up
most
to Rap.
recent single.
Yeah, that's her most recent single. Well, there's a new one coming out shortly when she can get her head round it.
I think it would. Yeah, this one is brilliant. I personally think. Quite happy with it.
Girl on girl
Yes.
All right, we need to, we're back on air now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that was the latest song from We.Are.Alien. Kate, who we have on the phone with us today doing the interview and telling us about her... Her I would nearly say joys. Her coming to terms, well, they even come to terms, still battling depression and things like that, and mental health problems. Can I ask, Kate, before you, I know you're doing a little bit of research there while we read, or you're reading while I talk.
Yeah, I've got it now, actually.
You got it. Before I ask that, what age did you actually feel that you were not right? Do you know?
The thing is when, I mean, for example, I didn't know that it was something other people didn't experience. So, for example, with my psychosis, the things I see, I just assumed everyone else saw them. Like, if you imagine you walk right down the street and you see some trees, or a tree, let's say a tree, whatever. You don't say to the person, look at that tree. Or you don't, every time there's a lamppost, you don't say to them, look at that lamppost, because it's always there. And it's kind of like the same with the psychosis. So I didn't really know, and I was so young. Like we look back now, and it's like, how did you not know? Like, the signs were so obvious. And then, but when you look at me in later life, I'd learned by that point so many self-harms to mask the symptoms I was being told to stop, which were actually how my brain works. You can't really stop that. So you have to use whatever you can to numb yourself to the world to cope. So for me, I remember, for example, I had written a poem when I was little. I was in primary school when I wrote this, and I know it 100%, and it was, if I die before I wake, Satan's chosen my worst fate, die alone or not at all, which one's better for us all? And I wrote that when I was in primary school. The types of questions I was asking my mum and dad, I was worried that if they died, I wouldn't know which was the correct key for the front door. So this age that I started self-harming in primary school, and that was where I also, my eating disorders really kicked off as well. And it's one of those, like, it's very difficult because it's hard to know sometimes what's causing an issue. I mean, you see all the time how many people are attacked and aren't even aware of it, if it's been whilst they've slept or what. And although I'm not saying, that happens to everybody, it's sometimes really hard when you have all these signs and yet you don't understand where it's coming from, because you have nothing then to work on. No. You can't improve something. You can't say... And that's one of the hardest things as well. A lot of people can look back and say, well, you know what, I can get back to who I was, or I can get back to that child. And I don't have that. Like, there's no memory I have at all that is not flooded with this extremely dark and alone feeling. Like I said before, as if you imagine all your family, let's say. Imagine if all your family, just so people can have an idea of what it feels like, really try to encapsulate the idea that every one of your relatives is on a plane to go to a wedding. You're delayed. Now that plane, it crashes, and every person on that plane, all your family, everyone you love, is dead. Imagine how you would try to imagine how you would feel perhaps in mourning when you're the only one left, and you're in your room, your house, and you're sitting in your living room, and the lights are off, and it's dark, and it's winter, and you're alone. And you just have no drive to eat. You have no drive because every single person, everything that gives you any type of hope is gone. That is a slight amount of one of the aspects that comes with mental health, of something that I have actually felt myself. And it's so crippling. It really is. And I speak to you quite often about mental health and how incredible some people who have gone through horrific physical injuries, how do they, losing their legs? I actually saw a guy yesterday. Me and my mum and dad, we do drives because sometimes I'm too frightened to leave the house. And so that for me is a safe way to start to try to experience the outside world. And that's what we tend to do. I actually saw a guy yesterday and he had 2 prosthetic legs. And I remember a while back, actually, I went into Ormskirk, a place near me, sorry, okay. And I went into a supermarket and there was a guy there and he had like a peg leg, but he had like an old-fashioned looking one, and he'd obviously chosen to go with an old-fashioned looking one. And literally my response when I saw him was, that is absolute. I said it like this. I said, that was totally awesome, which is like a link off a film I watched. But like, it's just crazy. And but what was my point? Oh yeah, these people that have had these awful things happen and all these conditions, and they can still be positive. And the reason is being in a mental state. And when you hear people like Stephen Hawking talking, and you see how these people who had very busy lives, a very busy mind, they sometimes, their minds, it can take them through so many difficulties. But the problem is when your mind gives up on you, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter when your mind gives up, you give up. And that's the scary thing. Like I was saying to my mum and dad the other day, it's really scary for me because I don't know what day my mind is going to turn on me. And when you're in that dark place, I've noticed that when other people are in their dark places, they can think about loved ones and they can think about family and they can think about holidays, or they can think about treating themselves to a meal or seeing a friend. And when, like, I can't do that, because when I think of that stuff, all it does for me is increase my distress. Because for me, as much as I love talking to people, it worsens my daily migraines that I suffer with, which are excruciating. It's like having your head in the clamp constantly. So it's like, it's really difficult to pick out any positives when your memories are all covered with all this darkness and you're constantly getting yelled at because you're not fitting in. And actually, it's weird. A lot of times I've not succeeded, but I've actually gone, above and beyond. And it's actually thanks to my weird quirks. It's thanks, like when one of my self-harms, I ended up needing some blood transfusions. And like when I was there in the hospital waiting for these blood transfusions, which, I don't know, some people might think possibly about that, some people might not. But I actually spent the time walking around the wards seeing if people wanted me to play some music for them to cheer them up and spend some time with them. Like that's sort of like the type of person I am. And I'm not, that sounds really egotistical, and it's not meant, trust me, it's not meant like that. I mean, I even had a mirror in my room.
The thing is, can I just say that most people say, oh, it depends how she gets up, when you get up in the morning, what kind of day you're going to have. But with you and your illnesses and your mental illness,
it's like hour to hour.
It's done by hours, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's been loads of times where my mum has left me thinking, and my dad's been like, oh, she'll be fine, you're rolling this out. And when they've come back, I have either had an attempt or, self-harm quite severely to cope.
So is the self-harm a cry for help, like a lot of people seem to think? Or is it, what, I'm trying to get my head around.
What is its purpose?
Why you self-harm? What do you get out of it?
Yeah, one of the biggest things actually I do want to talk about is self-harm, and mainly because I feel there's so much untruth that comes behind it, and I really believe that's because people don't really get it. So, for example, I am actually known, I'm quite a complex case, and I have very severe self-harms, and I think that's probably linked to my autism brain. It's all or nothing, it's full on 100%. So, but if people really saw the severity of self-harm and not like what they see on television where it might just be, and again, I'm not minimalizing any self-harm at all, is someone struggling with something. But there's different reasons, different functions, different methods at different times for different people. So, for example, when I first started self-harming, and I'll just remind everyone, I never actually told anyone. So I started in primary school. That was when I first started to starve myself and beat myself. And then it was, I think, in college when I started to have I don't really know how to say it, but self-harm in a more severe way. And again, I didn't tell anybody. And for me, at the time, I had no outlet of the anger that I felt from the complete breakdown of my family relationship. mainly because I had all these diagnoses. And they didn't know, so I was like this disappointment. You know, he's always saying the wrong thing, always doing the wrong thing. You know, and it's weird because it's sometimes like I have a mind of a child in some aspects, but then not in others. So it's hard to really understand. But yeah, so there's different. For example, if you imagine a kettle on the boil, and that's what it's like, right? So you've got this air, and it needs to come out, and it's like going to blow a fuse if you don't take the lid off it. And self-harm, what that does is it opens it up and lets some of the gas out, so it calms it. It doesn't make it go away. It just gives you a little bit more time. And the way I explain it as well is I have extreme emotions, and I think that's with my music. Maybe I can hopefully reach people through music and help them access a part of their emotion that's, you know, really deep in there. And so the way I describe it is most people, when they get angry, for example, they might yell, they might throw something, they might swear, they might stamp out and walk away, they might key their car or throw clothes out the window. I don't know what people do.
That's
but
me.
When you're yeah, so that's at one level. So when your emotion is maybe times 20 of that, 200 of that, it means that you need a more severe outlet to let it out. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Great. And so that's sort of like what it's like. So I wasn't self-harming to tell people about it. I was self-harming because I had all this anger and I wasn't allowed to do it. Like I couldn't turn away. I couldn't explain. I couldn't. And that's how it was in those days. That's not like I had it tough. I mean, I've been attacked a hell of a lot, which is not as common as I thought it was. Like when you said earlier, you know, didn't you think maybe this isn't what everyone goes through and stuff? But yeah, so with self-harm, it's like, and the weird thing is like people say, oh yeah, but you've done it on your arm. It's like, well, no, actually, a lot of people have got a lot of places. And actually, the times when I've done it on my arm is so that I can see it easily when I am out as a way to manage distress. So, sort of saying in my head, like, it's okay, you know, because if you grow up and your entire childhood you've been told you sort of, and not just by family, I mean, like, I never fit in, you know, anywhere. I was always like the oddball. I was never had friends really, you know, it's been quite sporadic and stuff. And so, yeah, what was I about to say?
You didn't fit in.
Yeah, I didn't fit, yeah, basically. But yeah, I think, that's it. So with the self-harm, like that, I mean, I've self-harmed on all parts of my body. And so when someone's doing it where someone can see it, I am absolutely not saying there aren't people out there. I mean, there are people out there who might self-harm and need support, and they might ask for that support. But there are also people who will self-harm and not ask anyone for support.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult, like, for example, like, it's so many different things. Like, I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do something, usually they'll know afterwards. They'll know when they, you know, they found me. And
it's not a cry for help.
No. And that's exactly the difference. And that's what the good staff who were working with me when I was in the hospital, who were some of the HCAs, and there was a lot of staff that weren't good. There was a lot of staff, and I've spoken to you about that in the past, and I'll speak more on that actually, you know, at a later date, but I know we're short on time.
Yes. But, now, the other thing I wanted to drag you back to, have you still got that bit you was looking for?
Yeah, I have actually, yeah.
Would you like to say what it was? Because I hate for you to look for it and then not get to say it.
Well, so basically, I was really struggling. I was cycling, you know, miles and miles every single day and walking miles and miles, and I got to the point where I was weighing lettuce leaves and stuff, and I'd asked my team over and over again for some help, and they kept telling me it's part of one of your other conditions, and it's just, you've not got an eating disorder, you've just got disordered eating. And I knew at this point I was really struggling. I knew I needed some support. And so I asked my team over and over again, and they were really negative, and they spoke to the eating disorder team, who said, no, I don't have an eating disorder. And as people now are aware that I did have an eating disorder, I still do, you know, and it actually got really serious, where my life was put at risk for absolutely no reason. Like, it didn't have to have happened. I asked for help. I think I went into hospital like 2016, and I was reading back on some of my things, but there's a 2013 when I was asking for help. It might even go back to 2008. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that one. However, I found out the hardest thing is in services, which is why you mentioned the fact that you had a mental health nurse on the other day. And I was saying I would just literally like get so cross because a lot of the problem, to be honest with you, is the people in certain areas of power. And sadly, there are a lot of people in positions of power who I would absolutely say are not nice people. They put people's lives at risk. That is all I can say, and that's what I've witnessed, what I've experienced myself. And anyway, so my care coordinator, the guy who is supposed to coordinate any care that I'm receiving to manage my mental health. Don't forget, at this time as well, I was, so you might not know actually, well, at this time I hadn't been diagnosed with my ADHD and ADD. So I asked, could I please I was really struggling and needed help, it was getting out of hand, and I was turned away, and I requested my notes, and I found a letter that my care coordinator had written to my GP, because I tried to go around my care team because they weren't helping me. I went to my GP, and this is what the letter that they, I don't think I was given this. Well, either way, it's in my records. And it says, I think it's from my care coordinator. Just thinking, I haven't said any names out loud, have I?
No, thank God.
Okay, okay, yeah, I know. So it says, thank you for your recent correspondence regarding me. I won't say my full name, but no. So this is my care coordinator writing to my GP about me. It says, thank you for your recent correspondence regarding me and concerns over whether she should be referred for assessment of adult ADHD and or eating disorder. Apologies in delay, blah, blah, I'll get back to you. And then it says, I understand that Ms. Hannah has been requesting that your service or our service refer her to assessment of these two conditions. In our team, we have considered her request and had discussions involving our consultant psychiatrist, consultant psychologist, and staff from the eating disorder service. The view of the eating disorder service is that me does not suffer from an eating disorder. She has been given comprehensive advice from the eating disorder service regarding the size and composition of her meals and her lifestyle choices. For example, fluid intake and exercise regime, which I felt I was compulsed person to do the exercising. The view of our mental health team is in agreement with the eating disorder service that me has the choice to follow their advice or not, and currently she chooses not to. He then goes on to state the person then goes on to state in a separate thing that he had fed back to me that my psychiatrist would not refer me to the eating disorder service, and that they felt that issues fell under one of my other conditions rather than a definable eating disorder as evidenced by myself, and totally dismissive of this but it says that I'm seeking a second opinion because obviously I do have an eating disorder, and that was like one of the most severe cases ever seen. There's more as well, like I have a few different documents up.
Yeah.
So it says, I am frustrated. This was written in 2014. I was frustrated that my care team were not helping me, and that includes my psychiatrist and psychologist, as we had not supported her request for referral for eating disorder service. I put to, and then he's written, this is my care coordinator, he's written that, in particular, yeah, they agreed with the eating disorder service that a referral to them was not warranted. And it's like, I mean, I should have been dead. I was told by the person that saw me when I went into hospital, which I was on refeeding syndrome. I was that ill. Like a lot of people on eating disorder wards, not everybody ends up on refeeding syndrome, but that's how unwell I was. My body had just collapsed. There was nothing on me. even with the compulsions. And you can understand, like, the sad thing is I have fought for every single bit of help and support that I've had. Like, literally, it's taken years and years and years and years, and I'm still fighting even to this day. I'm trying to, and I spoke to you that I was trying to request that it be commonplace in the mental health system to allow work emails for patients to contact their practitioners. Obviously, some people might abuse that, and that needs to be addressed. But the option should be there, as opposed to only phone consultations and post. Because obviously, if anyone knows how long it would take to arrange back and forth through the post on something you could send an email over with, like, in a moment. And I'm having to go through Parliament and get my MP involved. And I've been given a letter, and I've been told they've seen it from every opposite sort of angle that they could have. Like, for example, I clearly stated that it would be, work-related, like email. Yet they've replied that I was asking for personal email. Like, I would never, like, that's stupid. You know, so I'm
well, that's the government for you, isn't it? Let's face it.
I know. But the thing is, it's people's lives.
Yes, and I agree.
I could sit there and I could just let it happen. And I'm thinking, I'd be dead now.
Yeah.
And it's only because of my family that I'm not because of the services. No. And it's not that they can't help, it's that they're doing it wrong. And I've got lots of ways for them to look at to maybe improve it, Yeah. I'm not coming out with just problems, but I've lost, like, I spoke to you now recently, a couple of weeks ago. Another friend of mine passed away from her eating disorder. 2 others passed away. There's no therapies that are offered. They stop meds when you go into hospital. It's just,
it's still a mental disorder, even if it's an eating disorder. It's such a vast area, isn't it? But we are going to do a special, aren't we? We're going to do our first Wednesday.
And anyone can get in touch. Anyone can ask questions. I appreciate that for a lot of people, if they think someone is suffering with any type of disorder, anxiety, depression, narcissism, but, like, whatever, eating disorders, anything. Like, if you have a question about mental health teams, your community mental health teams, how to get help, how I got help with my autism and, all that kind of stuff. If people have any questions at all, like,
contact us.
Listen in on that show, and we'll give out all the, everything.
It's the first Wednesday of November, and it will be between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock here on Ferndale Community Radio. Unfortunately, our time has come to an end. It's been great talking to you again. All right, so we're going to finish off. Mike, have we got one of us?
Sending love out to all the listeners. Everyone stay safe.
Yes, they can all hear you. Don't worry about that. We got one of your songs to play out with. Thank you very much, Kate. And I'll speak to you again, very shortly. Bye.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
Take a breath. Turn the beat up. Take a breath. And hold it. Take a breath. Turn the beat up. Take a breath. And hold it in. Take a breath. Turn the beat up. Take a breath. And hold it now. Watch the sun begin to blow. For what we thought we ought to know. Jungle peace, or you'll find our enemy. Build your battle army. Build your battle army. Build your battle army. build your battle army. Watch your back, watch your back. Here they come. You got my six? You got my six? Guns up. Here they come. Build your battle army. There are monsters in the deep. Make sure that your gun is live, safety off and ready to fire. Concentrate on the enemy line. They look like us, so it could be hard to find. Flip that coin for a test. Which side does your allegiance rest? Wrong or right, it all depends on which side fights the best tonight. You gotta build it up. You got to find the strength to fight. You gotta build it up. When the shadows come at night, you got to build it up. The twilight bell will start to ring. You got to build it up. This battle army has to win. This battle army has to win. Evil rises, kill or be killed. Bodies dropping left and right, fight for freedom, but which side's right? Pain becomes a soldier's friend. It lets us know that we're not dead yet. Nothing's done, it'll stay the same. At some point something's got to change. One more round, better make it count. This battle army is signing out. One more round to go. I know you've lost your hope. Do we ever truly stop? Feel it beating against the clock. Keep resilient till the end. 'Cause this is not your time, my friend. Better army will defend a moment that will never end. One more left to go. The surprises burn your foe. Blood flash enemy inside. Pull the trigger, kill it, dead to right there. Watch the sun begin to glow. They've gone incognito. Watch the colors fade away. In time of blood they'll wash away. Fight for life and what is right. Join this battle army. Battle army fights. 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 Join the battle army.